Chevy's design labs have never been afraid to break the rules. From the brute force of the 454 SS to the radical Corvette C8, they've had their fair share of unhinged experiments. But in the early 2000s, something even stranger rolled out. Chevy quietly dropped one of the most bizarre vehicles ever made, a convertible retro-styled pickup truck. This is the story of the Chevy SSR, one of the weirdest, most impractical performance trucks ever made. But to understand what made the SSR so special, we need to go back to 1999. That's when Wayne Cherry, GM's head of design, had this crazy idea rattling around his head. You see those gorgeous pickup trucks from the 50s that hot rodders love so much? Why don't we build a modern version? But not just any revamp. One that could actually compete with sports cars. And the crazy thing is, Cherry actually got the green light to design it.
But Cherry didn't just want to be inspired by 50s pickups. His team studied every curve, every line of classic hot rods, until finally, they sketched something crazy.
But there was just one problem. They had to move fast. Because the team had just 3 months to design and build a fully functional concept car for the biggest auto show in America. The pressure was insane, but the team managed to get it done. And when the day finally arrived, it didn't just turn heads. It stole the entire show. GM CEO agreed to build it for real, and the dream was becoming a reality. But dreams and reality, well, they don't always play nice together. Building this thing safely and affordably was a different story altogether. So the team went back to the drawing board, literally redesigning the entire body.
But Chevrolet knew the SSR was a gamble. So what did they do? They pulled out all the stops to make sure it got noticed. They hired movie director Michael Bay to create a high-energy commercial that debuted on New Year's Eve in 2003. But the marketing didn't stop there. Chevrolet also secured a spot for the SSR as the official pace car for the 2003 Indianapolis 500. This ensured that millions of racing fans would see the truck in action.
And when the first production SSR rolled off the line in 2003, everyone was shocked. This pickup handled better than any pickup had a right to, and it turned heads everywhere you went. It was a time machine with nostalgia and performance in one. But this wasn't just another pretty convertible designed to cruise mall parking lots on Sundays, because Chevrolet blessed it with a 5.3-liter V8, pumping 300 horsepower. This was a truck that could corner like it meant business. And while traditional pickups wallowed through turns like drunken elephants, the SSR carved corners with surgical precision. So when you press the accelerator, this bad boy could hit 60 miles per hour in 7.9 seconds while looking absolutely spectacular doing it. And when you step inside, you're almost transported to an alternate universe. Twin power buckets cradle you in brushed aluminum, while chrome ring gauges stare back at you like the eyes of a friendly robot. This was a cabin built for someone who understands that driving isn't just about getting from point A to point B. But the real magic happens when the roof performs its disappearing act. 2 roof sections fold with mechanical precision into a vertical storage bay so compact, so brilliantly engineered, that it seems to defy the laws of physics. So in 30 seconds, your funky pickup truck becomes an open-air custom cruiser that turns every journey into a parade and every parking lot into a car show.
But here's what nobody tells you about building that retractable hardtop. It was basically automotive rocket science. The engineers had to solve problems that didn't even have names yet.
So when this folds away, it goes in there. So you lose that much of the load bed.
But they managed to pull it off. They made a truck that could transform from work vehicle to weekend warrior with the push of a button.
But here's where the story takes a bittersweet turn. The SSR's cargo bed, while beautifully crafted and perfectly integrated, was more suited to golf bags than actual work.
Anything deeper than that won't go in. I mean, literally won't go in.
It wasn't really a truck for hauling construction materials, so no one quite knew what to do with it. If you want to open the bed, that's not a simple flap. No, it's a multi-step ritual involving electrical switches and insulator knobs.
Chevrolet decided, no, we need to put a lid on it that's operated electrically. So I've got to switch the car on and open the, bear with. Then there's a button here, hidden inside the dash. There!
But the SSR had another major problem. The price. At $41,000, around $58,000 in today's money, it was a hard sell for something that looked wild but drove mild. Because of this, sales started to slow and stayed slow. In 2003, they only sold 1,664 of them. Because sure, the SSR turned heads, but it didn't turn on the thrill. But Chevy did listen. They listened to the gearheads and the old school men who knew what a real muscle machine should feel like. So they went back to the drawing board and came back with another crazy idea. In 2005, Chevy dropped in a 6-liter LS2 V8 from a Corvette, pushing out a fierce 400 horsepower. They also gave it a proper 6-speed manual. Now, the SSR isn't just a head turner, it's a heart thumper. But by 2006, the fun was over. GM pulled the plug after selling just 24,000 SSRs to the public. Unfortunately, the damage was done, and the world had moved on.
2-seater, hardtop convertible sports pickup truck that Chevrolet decided everybody in the world needed. And everybody in the world said, no, we really don't.
But here's the thing about the SSR. It represented something special. It showed that even a giant corporation like GM could take risks, could build something just because it was cool, not because it could sell 1 million units.
Today, those SSRs are actually becoming genuine collector's items. Values are climbing, and more people are discovering what those original buyers knew all along.
I am one of the very, very few people who've always liked them. It's got a sense of humor.
Forget the mainstream buyers. Car enthusiasts and hot rod builders were quietly falling in love with its bizarre charm. These were the guys who understood one thing. Sometimes the best vehicles are the ones that make absolutely no practical sense. Basically, they found their automotive soulmate in the most unlikely package. But the SSR actually taught us something important in the car business. Being right isn't always enough. Sometimes timing is everything. But for those brief 3 years, Chevrolet built the coolest pickup truck America had ever seen.
That's cool.
This is the Pontiac. What's it? No, it's not. It's a Chevrolet SSR.
That rocks.
Okay, now this is a pickup truck.
Yes.
Which has got a roof like a Mercedes SLK that kind of folds away.
It's cool.
You'd drive that, would you?
Yes.
You live in Gloucestershire.
I do.
And you drive around in a purple convertible pickup truck.
Not a purple one, obviously. But
No,
yeah, I
there
think
we
that's
go.
good.
I'm sorry, that's a no.
So what do you think? Was the SSR ahead of its time, or just too expensive for its own good? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more where this came from.